Indianize Kashmir and transform its people into a disempowered community has been in full swing since 5th of August 2019. Mr. Chairman, in the last 6 years, the Indian authorities have taken a series of legislative, judicial and administrative steps aimed at altering the demographic structure and political landscape of occupied Jammu and Kashmir. To crush that sense, the Indian authorities have created an environment of fear and intimidation in Jammu and Kashmir. Draconian laws such as Public Safety Act, Armed Forces Special Powers Act, and Unlawful Activities Act offer impunity to the Indian forces to arrest or kill any person and destroy any property. Since 5th of August 2019, 990 Kashmiris have been killed, another 2,465 were injured and tortured. The number of critical prisoners remains in thousands. Properties of Kashmiri activists are being confiscated as punishment. The Indian authorities have outlawed 16 political parties under a counter-terrorist law, the Unlawful Activity Prevention Act of India. The office of all party leaders conference in Srinagar has also been seized. Mr. Chairman, Eid prayers at Srinagar's historic Jamia Masjid have not been allowed for the last several consecutive years. We sitting here at Rumma should take notice of this for the last 7 years. You know, the Eid prayers could not be offered to Muslims at the historic Jamia Masjid in Srinagar. What a shame. Friday prayers at the mosque are also prohibited at times. The chief cleric at the mosque and a renowned Kashmiri leader, Mirwaz Farouk, is intermittently placed under house arrest, denying him the opportunity to address important religious gatherings. There are government media which has been made to follow the official line through various coercive measures. Ladies and gentlemen, the international human rights organizations and the civil society have extensively documented human rights violations in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Amongst others, these human rights abuses have been documented by the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights and the Independent Permanent Human Rights Commission of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation in separate reports. A number of UN special procedures have also expressed concerns about different facets of this dismal situation. Ladies and gentlemen, last year, the Human Rights Committee in Geneva made several important observations about the situation in occupied Jammu and Kashmir during the review of India's 4th periodic report on implementation of the provisions of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. The committee recommended that India should review its counter-terrorism laws for being non-compliant with the ICCPR. The Human Rights Committee also urged India to ensure that the counter-terrorism legislation is not applied to crack down on human rights defenders, journalists, peaceful protesters, and political opponents. Mr. Chairman, India organized elections of its lower house of Parliament Lok Sabha and a so-called Legislative Assembly of the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir in April, May and September-October 2024, respectively. While India claimed that such steps showed its commitment towards democratic norms, let me emphasize that any electoral exercise pursuant to the Indian Constitution cannot serve as a substitute to grant of the right to self-determination to the Kashmiri people. Mr. Chairman, in the eyes of international law, any process subservient to the Indian Constitution cannot be invoked to determine the final status of Jammu and Kashmir, which is an internationally recognized disputed territory. Mr. Chairman, the Indian leaders have been making unwarranted claims about the territories of Azad Jammu and Kashmir and Baltistan for some recent years. The frequencies of these irresponsible statements has increased in the recent past. While Pakistan is acting in a responsible manner and upholding the ceasefire on the line of control, the Indian leaders' irresponsible statements constitute a threat to the entire regional peace. The international community, especially the members of this contact group, should take cognizance of such statements which are also contrary to the UN Charter. It could hardly be overemphasized that for a lasting peace in South Asia, the Jammu and Kashmir dispute needs to be resolved in accordance with the UN Security Council resolutions and aspirations of the Kashmiri people. Mr. Chairman, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation is an institutional embodiment of the collective aspirations of the Muslim Ummah. It has been raising its voice in support of different oppressed Muslims communities for decades. The OIC's pronouncements of Jammu and Kashmir are a main source of support to the Kashmiri cause and its people. The resolution adopted by the 50th session of the Council of Foreign Ministers is the latest testimony of the organization's unwavering support for the Kashmiri people's rights to self-determination. The people of Pakistan and Jammu and Kashmir highly value such resolutions, Mr. Chairman. However, in view of the mounting challenges to the Kashmiri struggle, the OIC should transform its pronouncements into tangible actions. The organization should scale up its efforts for mitigation of the Kashmiri people's sufferings and finding a just settlement of the Jammu and Kashmir dispute. The OIC and its member states should use their influence to urge India to improve the human rights situation in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, release the political prisoners, repeal draconian emergency laws, remove military presence from the populated areas, and implement the relevant UN Security Council resolution. Excellency, at the end we have circulated draft joint communique for this meeting to all the members of the contact group. I am grateful for receiving some feedback and proposals which have been incorporated. Therefore, I would request that it may be adopted and also issued. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
नायब वज़ीर-ए-आज़म
और वज़ीर ख़ारिजा इसहाक़ डार इस्तांबुल में ख़िताब कर रहे थे। उनका कहना था कि हमले जो किए जा रहे हैं भारत की जानिब से ये यकीनी तौर पर पूरे ख़िते के अमन को ख़तरे में डाले हुए हैं। उन्होंने कहा कि हमने भारत की जानिब से किए जाने वाले पहलगान हमलों के भी तमाम तर तहक़ीक़ात का मुतालबा किया। उन्होंने कहा कि इसके बावजूद भारत ने तमाम तर इल्ज़ामात बग़ैर तहक़ीक़ात पर पाकिस्तान पर लगाए। भारतीय जारहियत कई अरसे से जारी है। ये अंदरूनी खाता कई किस्म के मसाइल पैदा करने के दर पे हैं और अब भी ये अपनी हरकतों से बाज नहीं आ रहे। इनकी जारहियत की वजह से कई बेगुनाह बच्चे और ख़वातीन अपनी जानें गंवा बैठे। कश्मीरी आवाम कई दहाइयों से इंसाफ के तलबगार हैं, लेकिन आज तक उन्हें इंसाफ फराहम नहीं किया गया। भारत ने गैर ज़िम्मेदाराना इक़दाम किए हैं और इसकी जितनी मदामत करने कम है। उनका कहना था कि इस वक्त जो अहम मुलाकात हुई है OIC वज़ीर ख़ारिजा काउंसिल के इजलास में, उसमें भी नायब वज़ीर आज़म का कहना था कि UN चार्टर के तहत ईरान के हक़ के दिफ़ा की गैर मुतज़लज़ल हिमायत का अयादा किया है। वज़ीर ख़ारिजा इसहाक़ डार से ईरानी वज़ीर ख़ारिजा ने भी मुलाकात की है। मुलाकात इस्तांबुल में जारी OIC वज़ीर ख़ारिजा इजलास की साइड लाइन्स पर हुई। ईरान की जौहरी तनसीबात